Aaron, Doc Ulam,
Gunnery Sergeant Diego Pongo,
Sergeant Nicole G.
Gavin Brummond.
Nate Anderson.
Yes, I was told to come see you. I was told that we're going out on a team together. I was like, yes, we are. The embedded training team. He didn't talk very much, but when he did talk and he opened up, he was talking about video games, cherry Cokes, pizzas, Domino's. Has to be Domino's. But his confidence was always there. He could shoot, he could navigate. This guy did everything we did. On July 12th, Lieutenant O'Leary was actually shot, and Doc immediately started giving aid. It was amazing. He seemed so cool, calm, and collected. He was actually cracking jokes with him. From that day, it was hard. I had to be the guy to pick him up, take him to the bird with Lieutenant O'Leary, and that was my last time actually being able to see him. When we got back, we had our memorials. I saw his family. I spoke to his family. His birthday is June 25th, and I did actually name my son after him. That's how much he meant to me and continues to be a part of our lives.
The Marine I'd like to remember is Gunnery Sergeant Diego Pongo. I will say he is, I'd say the definition of a model Marine, and the Marine that you would see on a poster. Very, very well spoken, very smart, very intelligent, spoke 3 or 4 languages, just always professional, incredibly intelligent, and just the type of Marine who always wanted to help other Marines. When I heard that some Marines died in Iraq, saw the news, obviously saw his name, saw his picture, was pretty surprised and obviously disappointed and upset. But he obviously was serving his country, and he was doing what he signed up to do. And he died honorably. He died honorably alongside fellow Marines and in combat, doing righteous work and doing his duty. I was in Arlington Cemetery several years ago with my wife and kids, and we were visiting a gravestone of basically a family friend. And I didn't know it at the time, but he had already been interred there at Arlington, and I saw his name there, and I kind of obviously just stopped in my tracks. Had my family there, and I just kind of related to my family, how I remembered him just very fondly as just an impeccable Marine and an honorable man.
Sergeant Nicole G. Very vibrant, always happy, good spirits. She just was above and beyond, always a smile, just always motivated. It was just always happy. Super sweet, heart of a lion. On August 26th, when the 24th MEU went into Afghanistan, into Kabul airport, Nicole was on one of the gates that was attacked. She was one of the 13 service members that was killed in action. And the thing about her is, no matter how hard it got and the things that we had to do and the chaos that ensued throughout the 24th MEU, she always was in good spirits, always had a smile on her face. And I don't think I'll ever forget her.
Gavin Brummond had the ability to make any room feel brighter. I vividly remember a photograph of Gavin Brummond in full combat gear with many others in full combat gear, and he just looked at his peer, another team leader, grabbed his hand and basically just said, what I imagined was, I'm glad you're here, or thank you, or I love you. And I'll never forget that, the idea that he would, in any one moment, including absolute chaos, look at you and tell you you're important. And in some photographs, he's like just behind me in a photograph where I didn't know he was there, and he's just smiling wildly, or would look at me and always have some form of incredibly professional sentiment while also being incredibly genuine. Would be consistently characterized as optimistic, enthusiastic, indomitable, durable, and resilient. He was a light in the middle of chaos, and I think we will all take great pleasure in having been called Marine with him.
Nathan Anderson was a great guy, a real leader amongst his peers. We were all going through the basic school together, a bunch of second lieutenants, and it didn't take us all very long to realize how special Nate was, not just because of how intelligent he was, how giving he was, but just his enthusiasm for what we were doing. But it was a kind of a quiet, mature enthusiasm. He never complained. He was always positive, and it always seemed like he had the right decision to offer, the right suggestion or solution to offer up. He was what we called a brown bagger. So when we would secure for the day, most of us would just stay in the barracks, but Nate would get to go back to his house off base to be with his wife and children. And I just remember he had such a beautiful family, and he loved him very, very much. He was going to be an aviator, ended up going to flight school, and got assigned to fly Hueys. Tragically, during a training accident based out of Yuma, Arizona, we lost Nate. And I'm just absolutely heartbroken for his family.
He was just a really great guy, and I miss him.
Another person I think of is Lance Corporal Jonathan Collins, a man I never even had a chance to meet. His parents, Angel and Jack, decided to honor him by continuing his legacy to help Marines who were continuing the fight. My third deployment was my first as a father, and one of the things my wife and I were focused on is how do we stay connected to the kids, how do we explain this thing to them. Because of Angel and Jack, there was this wonderful foundation that they had set up where we could make recordings, put them in stuffed teddy bears, and my wife would tell me all the time that our kids would get to hear their dad.
What do you have, Madeline?
My daddy bear.
Your daddy bear.
Like this.
Let me see.
Hey, Maddie, it's Pappy. Want you to know that you are so great. I love you, sweetie.
Who is that?
Pappy.
Your pappy. Where's your pappy?
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. And what do you want to say to the people that got this bear for you?
Thank you. I want to tell him thank you.
Another thing to think about on Memorial Day is not just those who didn't make it back, but the families who continue to strive to honor their legacy. Shortly after Dan passed away in 2005, his parents, Bud and Sarah Jo, and his wife, Lisa, they received a lot of comfort from his final letter and tried to share his words with the country.
He left behind a letter to his family, but his words could just as well be addressed to every American. Staff Sergeant Dan Clay's wife, Lisa, and his mom and dad, Sarah, Jo, and Bud, are with us this evening. Welcome.
And the type of grace that they all showed in those moments was overwhelming. And to think that they would be so giving of themselves to be selfless in selfish times. When you think back to, where do people like Dan Clay come from? All of a sudden, Dan makes a whole lot more sense. I know a lot of people like to say of the fallen that they've paid the ultimate price. I think they would be the first ones to tell us that they didn't pay the ultimate price, because that's associated with giving up something that you love the most. And when I think back to guys like John Robleski, Dan Clay, Alan Rao, Nathan Anderson, none of these people love themselves more than their friends and their family and their country. They were just incredibly giving people. I know a lot of people are quick to say things like you shouldn't say Happy Memorial Day, and I think people who will say that will say it because unfortunately they didn't get to meet these folks. So when they think on them or they see their names, it's exclusively through the lens of loss. Everyone wants to work alongside people who are selfless, giving, committed, focused to a higher ideal, people who are willing to endure a tremendous amount just so they can acquire the power to be relevant in the discussion about how to keep something safe. Everybody wants to work alongside people like that. And for those of us in the Marine Corps, we got to do it. We got to know them. All these years later, it would be heartbreaking for anybody to think that these folks are far from us. That is absolutely not the case. We think about them all the time. They continue to push us. Every time we find ourselves dealing with adversity, we think back on the last full measure of devotion that they gave. You know, as we're going through a training exercise or an operation or a physical training event, we realize we haven't even come close to matching what they did. There's another set, there's another rep, another minute, another mile. I know a lot of people suggest that we should refrain from saying Happy Memorial Day, but when I think about these folks, I can't help but feel happy.
I remember.
I remember.
I remember.
I remember.
I remember.